They are, Your Worship. I'm informed that the screen was off. That what please. The state is calling case number F473 of 26. State versus Charlotte Tibane, accused number 1. Accused number 2, Peter Nonyane. Your Worship, accused appearing before this honorable court, and today is the 26th of August 2026, and the court is constituted as follows. Presiding officers Mr. Moetjie, on behalf of the state is advocates Polokwane and advocate Nzimande, and court interpreter is Ms. Bidiwa. Accused are represented by Mr. Maluleke. Your Worship, this matter is on the roll today for continuation of a formal bail application. And prior to the continuation thereof, Your Worship, prior the state witness continuing to testify, the state would like to bring an application in terms of Section 81, subsection 1 of Act 51 of 1977 for joint of charges. Your Worship, the state would like to join counts 6 to 13, and those are charges of fraud. And Your Worship, such charges are in respect of both accused persons respectively. Certain charges are in respect of accused number 1, and other charges are in respect of both accused persons.
So the charges is from count 6 to 13, and they are all charges of
fraud,
and they refer to both of the accused.
Your Worship, counts 6 and 7. It's in respect of both accused persons before the honorable court. Counts 8 to 13 are in respect of accused number 1.
Thank you.
Thank you, Your Worship.
Accused, you may stand up. Accused person. Before we proceed with the evidence that we were proceeding with yesterday, the state has indicated that there are additional charges that should be joined to the current one, and that is count 6 to 13. Some refers to accused number 1, and some refers to accused number 2. And that is in terms of Section 81, subsection 1 of the Criminal Procedure Act 51 of 1977 as amended. I hope the defense counsel to yourself has been appraised of the charges that the state intended joining. Is it confirmed?
Indeed, sir.
Thank you.
I've been provided with the annex to the charge sheet, which reflects the new charges.
Thank you.
Instructions of
And no objection.
no objection. Except to say that I've been instructed of your state at a later stage to bring an application to reopen the applications of 1 and 2 to deal with what has now been preferred by the state.
Thank you. So the application by the state for joinder of charges is hereby granted, and count number 6 to 13 are therefore accordingly joined to the current charges in terms of Section 81, subsection 1 of the Criminal Procedure Act 51 of 1977 as amended.
That's the court. With the leave of court, may proceed.
Se yena Moetjie se a hlamusela mahlweni ka huvo ku ri swilo swi cincile. Se ku na milandzu yin'wanyana leyi nga ngeteleriwa eka milandzu leyi ya n'wina va mi hehla hi yona. Mi ta swi twisisa ku ri milandzu ya n'wina a yi ri 5, se sweswiwani va ri yi suka yi ya ka 6 yi fika ka yona 13. Milandzu yaleyo i ya n'wina vumbirhi bya n'wina, ku na yin'wanyana yi nga ya wena muhehlo wo sungula ntsena. Se a endla xikombelo xa ku huvo yi mukela xikombelo xa yena ku ri va ngetelela milandzu yona yaleyo. Huvo yi ku a yi na nkingha na mhaka yona yaleyo, na gqwetha ra n'wina ri ku ri mi hlamuserini ku ri ku ta va na ku na milandzu leyi nga ngeteleriwa, a nga na nkingha na swona.
Can I kindly proceed?
Yes.
Thank you, Your Worship. Specific preamble to counts 6 to 13. Fraud. Mokgadi Andrika Moetjie, with the identity number stated here into the charge sheet, is a female victim and or the sole heir to the estate of the late Mokgadi Albert Moetjie, to whom she was married in community of property. The late Mokgadi Albert Moetjie had passed away on the 13th of December 2025, leaving the entire estate to his wife. Mokgadi Andrika Moetjie was informed to appoint an attorney to administer the estate of her late husband. The said Mokgadi Andrika Moetjie, as the sole heir of the estate of her husband, requested legal services of accused number 1 as an attorney to assist her in the winding up and or administration of the estate of a late husband. On or about the 18th of December 2025, a letter of executorship was issued to Mokgadi Andrika Moetjie, who then appointed accused 1 as agent. Some of the duties of accused 1 included but not limited to the taking control of the assets of the estate, paying the creditors and debtors of the estate, and paying the heirs of the deceased. The estate of the late Mokgadi Albert Moetjie held a First National Bank account number 631-884-18199. The state alleges that the said First National Bank account was opened by accused number 1 without the authorization of Mokgadi Andrika Moetjie. On or about the 7th April 2026, accused 1, acting with common intent and for the furtherance of common purpose with accused number 2, transferred and or paid and or caused the transfers of or payment of the amount of 501,000 to a bank account other than the one belonging to Mokgadi Andrika Moetjie. On or about the 7th day of April 2026, accused 1 transferred and or paid and or caused the transfer or payment of the amount of 55,000 rands to a bank account other than the one belonging to Mokgadi Andrika Moetjie. The estate of the late Mokgadi Albert Moetjie comprised, among other assets, of a cash balance in the amount of 1,380,901.50 in the above or the First National Bank account already mentioned. On or about the 8th of April 2026, accused 1 further transferred and or paid and or caused the transfer or payment of the amount of 57,000 rands to a bank account other than the one belonging to Mokgadi Andrika Moetjie. On or about the 9th of April 2026, accused 1 transferred and or paid and or caused the transfer or payment of the amount of 78,000 rands to a bank account other than the one belonging to Mokgadi Andrika Moetjie. On or about the 9th of April 2026, accused 1 transferred and or paid and or caused payments or transfers in the amount of or for the amount of 30,000 rands to a bank account other than the one belonging to Mokgadi Andrika Moetjie. On or about the 9th of April 2026, and accused 1 transferred and or paid and or caused transfer or payment of the amount of 10,000 rands to a bank account other than the one belonging to Mokgadi Andrika Moetjie. On or about the 13th of April 2026, accused 1 transferred and or paid and or caused the transfer or payment of the amount of 354,000 rands to a bank account other than the one belonging to Mokgadi Andrika Moetjie. On or about the 15th of April 2026, accused 1, acting with common intent and for the furtherance of common purpose with accused number 2, transferred and or paid and or caused the transfer or payment of the amount of 400,000 rands to a bank account other than the one belonging to Mokgadi Andrika Moetjie. With regards to count number 6, the state alleges that a portion of the money alleged therein, in that particular account, Your Worship, was paid to a Stokvel bank account to which accused number 2 is a member. The state alleges that the accused used and or appropriated the amount of 1,380,901.50 for purposes other than payments to creditors, as or beneficiaries of the estate of the late Mokgadi Albert Moetjie. As a result of the accused action, the heirs and or beneficiaries suffered actual prejudice in the amount of 1,380,901.50. Count number 6, with respect to accused 1 and 2, fraud, read with the provisions of sections 99, 103, 250 of the Criminal Procedure Act 51 of 1977, and further read with Section 51, subsection 2 of the Criminal Law Amendment Act 105 of 1997, in that upon about the 7th of April 2026 and at Polokwane in the Regional Division of Limpopo, the accused acting with common intent and for the furtherance of common purpose with each other, did unlawfully, falsely, and with intent to defraud, gave out and pretend to Mokgadi Andrika Moetjie that the payments or money held in the estate account of the late Albert Moetjie will be paid over to the said Mokgadi Andrika Moetjie, and or the accused were entitled and or mandated by the said Andrika Moetjie to transact on the estate account of a late husband, and or the accused were the account holders of the said estate bank account of the late husband for Mokgadi Moetjie, and therefore entitled to transact on the said account without the written authorization or without the authorization of the said Mokgadi Andrika Moetjie. The accused were mandated and or authorized to transfer or cost transfer of the amount of 501,000 from the estate bank account into accounts other than beneficiaries' accounts as or creditors of the said estate, and or that the estate of the late husband her late husband had an obligation to pay out an amount of 501,000 for purposes other than payments to beneficiaries, creditors, or heirs, and did there and then by means of the said false pretenses induce Mokgadi and Andrika Moetjie, and to the prejudice of and or potential prejudice of Mokgadi and Andrika Moetjie, that the said amount of 501,000 rands would be paid over to her as the sole heir and therefore suffered prejudice. Whereas when the accused so gave out and pretended, they well knew in truth and in fact that the said payments held in the estate bank account of Albert Moetjie will not be paid over to the said Mokgadi Andrika Moetjie, and or the accused were not authorized and or mandated by Mokgadi Moetjie to transact on the estate bank account, and or the accused were not the account holders of the said estate bank account of her late husband, and therefore not entitled to transact on the said account without the authorization of the said Mokgadi Andrika Moetjie. Accused were not mandated and or authorized to transfer or cost transfers of the amount of 501,000 from the estate of the estate bank account into accounts other than the beneficiaries as or creditors accounts. That the estate and or that the estate of the late husband Mokgadi Moetjie had no obligation to pay out an amount of 501,000 for purposes other than payments to beneficiaries, creditors, or heirs. Alternative to count number 6 is a count of theft, where the state alleges that accused number 2, accused 1, acting with common intent with accused number 2, stole an amount of 501,000 rands. Your worship, it's an alternative to count number 1. The context is the same. Count number 7, accused 1 and 2. And the state herein alleges that they acted in common purpose.
Seloko ita eta hlayela ndzilo wa n'wina wa vumbirhi sorry wa vusikisi va ri ka na ndzilo wun'wana wa vukungundwani ku hlamusela ku yena Mokgadi Andrika Moetjie hi tinomboro ta yena ta ti-ID number ta to helela hi 3084 va ri munhu hi yena mupoti wa nandzu wa xisati loyi a ku ri yena mudyandzhaka ya yena mufi Makuluve Albert Moetjie la a va tekanini hi xilungu kumbe leswi swa ku xa wena i xa mina i xa wena va ku yena Makuluve Albert Moetjie u hi siya emisaveni hi ti 13 ta December 2025 ivi a siya ndzhaka ya yena a yi siyela nsati wa yena Mokgadi Andrika Moetjie u vi a lava loyara ku ri yi ta kota ku fambisa ndzhaka ya yena ya mufu ya nuna wa yena va ku yena Mokgadi Andrika Moetjie a ku ri yena mudyandzhaka a ri yexe mudyandzhaka ka nhundzu ya nuna wa yena ivi a kombela muhehliwa wo sungula ku ri ku va yena a n'wi pfunaka hi timhaka to fambisa ndzhaka ya nuna wa yena loyi a nga hi siya misaveni se hi ti 18 ta December 2025 ku vi ku huma papila kumbe mpfumelelo wa ku yena yena Mokgadi Andrika Moetjie a ku yena u ta hira muhehliwa wo sungula ku ri ku va yena a n'wi pfunaka ka timhaka letiwani ta ku fambisa nhundzu ya nuna wa yena loyi a nga hi siya misaveni ivi impela va tirhisana swin'we ti va timhaka ta ku u pfumelela muhehliwa wo sungula ku ri ku ta va yena a fambisaka nhundzu leyiwani hinkwaswo leswi ku fikisela a ta n'wi hakela kumbe a ta nyika munhu loyi a nga fanela ku ri ku va yena mudyandzhaka wa nhundzu yona yaleyiwani va ku yena Makuluve Albert Moetjie a ri na banka ya yena kumbe a banka na banka ya le FNB hi nomboro yo helela hi 8199 ivi va hlamusela ku ri la ya ka banki yona liya ya va ku yena muhehliwa wo sungula u vi a pfula banki a pfulela yena Mokgadi Andrika Moetjie a nga twananangi na yena se va ku yena Makuluve Albert Moetjie va ri yena nhundzu ya yena kumbe ndzhaka ya mufi leyi a n'wi siyeli yona hinkwayo a yi endla 1,380,000 rand 901 rand 50 cents yi ri ka akhawunti ya FNB kumbe yona First National Bank se va ku hi ti 7 ta April 2026 mehliwa wo sungula u vi a ku a tirhisana na mehliwa wa vumbirhi bona va teka mali va yi rhumela ka akhawunti yin'wana hayi liya ya yena hayi ya yena Mokgadi Andrika va rhumela mali yo ringana 501,000 rands ivi hi ti 7 ta April 2026 muhehliwa wo sungula a kha a tirhisana na yena muhehliwa wa vumbirhi va vi va rhumela mali yo ringana 55,000 rands eka ka banka yi nga ri ku ya yena Mokgadi Andrika Moetjie kambe hi ti 8 ta April 2026 muhehliwa wo sungula va ri u vi a rhumela mali yo ringana 57,000 rands va ri i nga ri ka banki ya yena Mokgadi Andrika Moetjie and then kambe hi ti 9 ta April 2026 muhehliwa wo sungula rhumela mali kambe yo ringana 78,000 rand eka banki yin'wanyana yi leyi nga ri ku ya yena Mokgadi Andrika Moetjie kambe hi ti 9 ta April 2026 muhehliwa wo sungula ivi a rhumela mali yin'wana kambe ka akhawunti yin'wanyana yo ka yi nga ri ya yena Mokgadi Andrika Moetjie leyi ringana ku 30,000 rands ivi a rhumela hi ti 9 ta April 2026 a rhumela mali yo ringana 10,000 rands na yona a yi nga ri ka banki ya Mokgadi Andrika Moetjie kambe hi ti 13 ta April 2026 muhehliwa wo sungula a rhumela mali eka akhawunti yin'wanyana yo ka yi nga ri ya yena Andrika Mokgadi Moetjie ya 354,000 rands ivi hi ti 15 ta April 2026 muhehliwa wo sungula va ku a kha tirhisana na yena muhehliwa wa vumbirhi va vi va transfera mali yo ringana 400,000 rands yi ya ka banki yo ka yi nga ri ya yena Mokgadi Andrika Moetjie ivi va ku eka nandzu loyiwani wa vusikisi va vi va ku va mali yona yaleyo va ri yi nghenisiwini aka xitokofela xa yena muhehliwa wa vumbirhi se va ku mali leyi hinkwayo leyi yena Makuluve Albert Moetjie a nga yi siyela kumbe ndzhaka ya yena leyi a nga yi siyela nsati wa yena a yi ringana 1,380,000 rands 901.50 cents va ku se hi mhaka ya swiyendlo swa vona kumbe ku teka mali yona yaleyo kumbe ku rhumeletela timali tona teto va ti rhumela ka tiakhawunti tin'wana swi endli ku ri mudzindzhaka wa mali leyiwani a lova mali leyo ringana 1,380,000 rands 901.50 cents se va ku nandzu loyi va hehliwaku hi wona i nandzu wa vukungundzwani va ri nandzu wa kona wu endleke hi ti 7 ta April 2026 kwala a Polokwane kwala ka Limpopo va ku va te vumbirhi bya vona hi ku tiyimisela a handle ka nawu va kha va tirhisana swin'we ivi va vona va fika va ku hina hi pfumeleriwile ku endla leswi landzelaka va ku hina hi pfumeleriwile ku ri hi nga nghena eka ndzhaka ya mufu Makuluve Albert Moetjie mali leyi hi ta hi hakelela Mokgadi Andrika Moetjie va kha va swi tiva ku ri bona a va pfumeleliwangi ku ri bona timali teto ta mufi kumbe ta yena nuna wa yena Mokgadi Andrika Moetjie va ti rhumela ka tiakhawunti tin'wana na ku bona va ku hina hi pfumeleriwile ku fambisa macheleni lamawani hi tlhe hi pfumeleriwa ku ri nga fambisa macheleni o ringana 501,000 rands na yona va ku hi pfumeleriwile ku ri hina hi nga yi transfera ku ve a va swi tiva kahle ku ri a va yisile ka vinyi va ndzhaka va ku vona n'winyi wa ndzhaka u va pfumelerile ku ri vona va fanele va fambisa mali yona yaleyo yo ringana 501,000 rands ene bona va hemba va ku va ta hakela vinyi va ndzhaka va ku se hi va vi vona va ku hi ku hemba na ku ka va nga vulavuli ntiyiso va ku mali yaleyo hi yisa ka n'winyi wa mali hi vula yena mudyi wa ndzhaka ku ve va kha va swi tiva ku ri a hi swona se hi ku endla sweswo swa ku teka mali yo ringana 501,000 rand ba yisa laha yi fanelaka yi nga yangi kona n'winyi wa mali yena Mokgadi Andrika Moetjie u vi a lova mali yo ringana 501,000 rands leswi swi endliwa ku hi mhaka ku bona va hehliwa va yini kwele va fika va ti endlisa kumbe va vulavula vun'wa va ku mali yaleyo hina hi ta n'wi hakela yona va kha va swi tiva kahle ku ri a va pfumeleriwangi vona ku ri va fambisa mali ya mufi handle ka n'winyi wa mudzindzhaka hi vula yena Mokgadi Andrika Moetjie ivi se va hlamusela timhaka ta ku va tlhela va hlamusela lama hetelelweni ku ri se vona va ve va hehliwa hi nandzu vona waloyo wa vukungundzwani va ku loko ko nyikiwa vumbhoni lebyi byi nga ta ku loko byi humelela mahlweni ka huvo byi nga hlamuseli kumbe byi nga kombi ku ri hi mpelampela vanhu lava va endli nandzu wa vukungundzwani kambe byi hlamusela ku ri va yivini nakona va nga voniwa nandzu wo yiva va ku hi ti 7 ta April 2026 kwala a Polokwane vumbirhi bya vona va kha va tirhisana va nga voni va kha va tirhisa swin'we va kha va tirhisana swin'we va viva ku a handle ka nawu na ku tiyimisela va yiva mali yo ringana 501,000 rands inga mali ya yena Mokgadi Andrika Moetjie va tiyimiseli ku n'wi tekela mali ya yena ku fikisela va nga ha tlheli va n'wi nyika.
Counts number 7 with respect to accused 1 and 2 fraud. Read with the provisions of sections 99, 103, 250 and 250 of the Criminal Procedure Act 51 of 1977 and further read with section 51 subsection 2 of the Criminal Law Amendment Act 105 of 1997. In that upon about the 15th April 2026 and at Polokwane in the regional division of Limpopo, the accused, acting with common intent and for the furtherance of common purpose with each other, did unlawfully, falsely, and with intent to defraud, give out an intent to Mokgadi Andrika Moetjie that the payments held in the estate account of the late Albert Moetjie will be paid over to the said Mokgadi Moetjie, and or the accused were authorized and or mandated by Mokgadi Andrika Moetjie to transact on the estate account of a late husband, and or the accused were the account holders of the said estate account of the late husband of Mokgadi Moetjie, therefore entitled to transact on the said account without the authorization of the said Mokgadi Andrika Moetjie, and or the accused were mandated and or authorized to transfer or cost the transfer of the amount of 400,000 rands from the estate bank account into accounts or bank accounts other than the beneficiaries as or creditors bank accounts linked to the said estate, and did there and then by means of the said false pretenses induce Mokgadi and Andrika Moetjie and to the prejudice of and or potential prejudice of Mokgadi Andrika Moetjie that the said amount of 400,000 rands will be paid over to her as the sole heir of the estate and therefore suffer prejudice. Whereas when the accused gave so gave out and pretended they well knew in truth and in fact that the payments held in the estate bank account of the late Albert Moetjie will not be paid over to the said Mokgadi Andrika Moetjie, and or the accused were not authorized and or mandated by the said Mokgadi Moetjie to transact on the estate bank account of the late husband, and or the accused were not the account holders of the said estate bank account and therefore not entitled to transact without the authorization of Mokgadi Moetjie, and the accused were not mandated and authorized to transfer or cause the transfer of the amount of 400,000 from the estate bank account into accounts other than the beneficiaries as or creditors of the said estate, and or the estate of the late husband of her late husband had no obligation to pay out an amount of 400,000 rands for purposes other than the payments to beneficiaries, creditors, or heirs. Alternative to count number 7, Your Worship, is an account of it's a count of theft. The context is the same.
se loko a hlaya nandzu wa vu-7 na ka nandzu lowuwani wa vu-7 na vona ku hlamusela timhaka ta ku I nandzu wa vukungundzwani va ri wu endleke hi ti 15 ta April 2026 kwala a Polokwane va ku va hehliwa va ve va tirha swin'we vumbirhi bya vona va ku a handle ka nawu va na ku tiyimisela va ku vona va endla vukungundzwani a ku va endla vukungundzwani ka ku tekela mali yena Mokgadi Andrika Moetjie ba vulavula vun'we va ku vona va ta hakela ndzhaka ya yena mufi makuluve Albert Moetjie va yi hakela yena Mokgadi Andrika Moetjie va kha va swi tiva kahle ku ri vona a va pfumeleliwangi ku ri vona va nga teka rifa ra yena yena makuluve Albert Moetjie va ku va hehliwa a va swi tiva kahle ku ri mali leyiwani yi nga le ka ndzhaka ya yena mufi kumbe ya yena nuna wa yena Mokgadi Andrika Moetjie a va pfumeleliwangi ku ri vona va nga fane va yi rhumela ka ti-akhawunti tin'wani handle ka leti ta yena Mokgadi Andrika Moetjie se va ku vona va hehliwa a va swi tiva kahle ku ri a va pfumeleliwangi na ku vona va fanele ku ri va nga yisa mali kumbe ku rhumela 400,000 rands ya yena mufi kumbe ya yena Mokgadi Andrika Moetjie nje hi mudyandzhaka wa mufi a va nga pfumeleliwangi ku ri mali yaleyo va nga yi rhumela ka tiakhawunti tin'wanyani handle ka leti ta yena Mokgadi Andrika Moetjie se va ku ivile na yena nuna wa yena a swi nga fanelangi ku ri va ku mali ya nuna wa yena Mokgadi Andrika Moetjie fane yi hakela ka akhawunti yin'wanyani handle ka leyi vona va nga va nyika yona se va ku vona vumbirhi bya vona a va swi tiva kahle ku ri leswi va swi endlaku a hi ntiyiso ene va swi tiva kahle ku ri mali leyi va nga yi humesa va yi rhumela lava nga yi rhumela kona a va nga n'wi hakeli yena Mokgadi Andrika Moetjie a va pfumeleliwangi ku ri va teka mali yaleyo va yisa ka akhawunti yin'wani handle ka ya Mokgadi Andrika Moetjie ivile nakona xin'wani a va nga pfumeleriwangi ku ri vona va nga teka rifa ra yena Mokgadi Andrika Moetjie leri a nga siyeriwa hi nuna wa yena se va ku va hehliwa na ku va teka mali yena ya 400,000 rands a va swi tiva kahle ku ri a va pfumeleriwangi ku ri va nga transfera mali yaleyo va ku nandzu wun'wanyani wo landzela kumbexani lowu mi nga voniwa ku nandzu eka wona hi lowu wo yiva se va ku timhaka ta kona ti fambisana na nandzu luwa wa vukungundzwani hi nge hi ti hlayi.
Your Worship, the state would leave evidence with respect to these charges during the bail application to show the court as to how the accused acted to promote the cause, and particularly the recent charge, what or where is this 400,000 rands derived, and how does it link accused number 4? What did it pay? That is, I mean, number 2, Your Worship, what did it pay belonging to either accused 1 or accused 2?
Se muchuchisi aku hina hi ta nyika vumbhoni loku swi ta ka nandzu lowuwani wa vu-7 ku ri ta kota ku hlamusela huvo ku ri eka nandzu lowuwani wa vu-7 laha ku vulavuriwaka ku ri ku vi va rhumela 400,000 rands yaleyo va yi rhumela ka akhawunti yin'wanyani ku ri u fambelana njhani kumbe ku nghenisa njhani muhehliwa wa vumbirhi eka nandzu wona walowo u yi hakeleliwi yini mali yona yaleyo.
Counts 8 to 13 are only in respect of accused number 1.
Bakuna milandzu yo suka ka 8 ku fika ka 13 ya yena muhehliwa wo sungula.
Your Worship, it's charges of fraud directly with the provisions of sections 99, 103, and 250 of the Criminal Procedure Act 51 of 1977, in that upon about the dates as mentioned in column 2 of Schedule A, which forms part of this charge sheet, Your Worship, and Andrika Moetjie, in the regional division of Limpopo, the accused did unlawfully, falsely, and with intent to defraud, give out and return to Mokgadi Andrika Moetjie that the payments held in the estate bank account of the late Makuluve Albert Moetjie will be paid over to the said Andrika Moetjie, and or accused was authorized or mandated by Mokgadi Moetjie to transact on the estate bank account. The accused was the account holder of the said estate bank account of a late husband, and therefore entitled to transact on the said bank account without the authorization of Mokgadi Andrika Moetjie. Accused was mandated and authorized to transfer or cause transfers of the amounts of money mentioned in column 3 of Schedule A from the estate into accounts other than beneficiaries or heirs or creditors of the said estate, and or the estate of the late husband of the complainant had an obligation to pay out the amounts mentioned in column 3 of Schedule A for the purposes other than payments to beneficiaries, creditors, or heirs, and did thereby by means of the said false pretenses, injuries, Mokgadi and Andrika Moetjie, and to the prejudice of and or potential prejudice of Andrika Moetjie, that the amounts mentioned in column 4 of the said Schedule A would be paid over to her as a sole heir of the estate and therefore suffered prejudice. Whereas, when the accused so gave out and pretended, they knew well in truth and in fact that the payments held or the money held in the estate bank account of Makolobe Albert Moetjie will not be paid over to the said Andrika Moetjie, and or the accused was not authorized or mandated by Mokgadi Andrika Moetjie to transact on the estate bank account of her late husband, and or the accused was not the account holder on the said estate bank account, and therefore not entitled to transact on the said account without the authorization of Mokgadi Andrika Moetjie. The accused was not mandated and authorized and or to transfer or cause transfers of the amounts mentioned in column 3 of Schedule A from the estate bank account into accounts other than the creditors as or beneficiaries of the said estate, that the estate of the late husband, of her late husband, had no obligation to pay an amount mentioned in column 3 of Schedule A for purposes other than payment of such amounts to beneficiaries. Your Worship, the alternative to counts 8 to 13 is charges of theft, which the context is the same to the main counts of fraud. Your Worship, with regard to count number 8, the state alleges that it was committed on the 7th of April 2026 regarding an amount of 55,000 rands, which is actual prejudice. Count number 9 was committed on the 8th of April 2026 regarding an amount of 57,000 rands, actual prejudice. Count number 10, 9 April 2026, 78,000 rands, actual prejudice. 9th April again, 30,000 rands, actual prejudice. 12th April 2026, 10,000 rands, actual prejudice. 13 April 2026, 354,000 rands, actual prejudice. Your Worship, the total actual prejudice in counts 8 to 13 is 584,000 rands. And further that, Your Worship, count number 6 constitutes actual prejudice. Count number 7 is also actual prejudice suffered by Mokgadi Andrika Moetjie, who was the sole heir to the estate of the late husband. The leave of court may be in the church.
Se bashaya milandzu unandzu wabu 8 bakunandzu wabu 8 kufika kwa wabu 13 yikondani na wena mwihliwa wa kusungula milandzu yakona yahafana nayo naliya hingayihlamusela itimhaka ta ku va ri wena u endla nandzu wa vukungundzwana uvi u hemba kumbe u vulavula vun'wa a handleni ka nawu u wena Mokgadi Andrika kumbe Mokgadi Andrika Moetjie uvi a ku pfumelela ku ri wena u nga va munhu loyiwani u fambisaku mali leyiwani kumbe u rhumela ku mali leyiwani ya yena leyi nga hlamuseliwa ku ya laya yi nga ta yi hlaya ndhavunyana u ku pfumelerini kumbe ku nyike mpfumelelo wa ku wena u nga yi susa mali liya ya yena ya ndzhaka u yisa ka tiakhawunti tona ti va ti hlayaku kwalaniwani kuve u swi tiva kahle ku ri munhu yaloyo a nga zangi a ku pfumelela ku ri u endla swilo sweswo u nga swi endla swa vukungundzwana swa ku fambisa timali ta yena ehandleni ka mpfumelelo wa yena. Se va ku milandzu leyiwani yi landzelaku wa vu 8 9 va 9 na wa vu 10 wa vu 11 na wa 12 13 wa vu 8 va ri humeleli ti 7 ta April 2026 laha u nga rhumela 55,000 rand nakona u nga pfumeleliwangi ku ri swi endla sweswo. Then wa vu 9 8 April 2026 nakona kwalani a nga pfumeleliwangi ku transfera mali yaleyo yo ringana 57,000 rand. And then wa vu 10 ti 9 April 2026 u transfer 17 kumbe ku rhumela 78,000 rand na yona a nga pfumeleriwangi ku nga yi rhumela ka banka yin'wanyana handle ka ya yena Mokgadi Andrika Moetjie. Wa vu 11 9 April 2026 va ri transfer 30,000 rand. And then wa vu 12 ti 9 April 2026 u transfer 10,000 rand. And then wa vu 13 ti 13 April 2026 u transfer 354,000 rands. Va ri mali leyi hinkwayo leyi a nga yi lova yena Mokgadi Andrika Moetjie a nga lova rifaranuna wa yena 584. Swi fana na milandzu na nandzu leya wa vu 6 na wa vu 7 kwalano va ri u lovi timali ta yena. a ku ni ta nyika vumbhoni ni ta kombisa ku ri timhaka leti ti fambafambe njhani loko hi kha hi yisa mahlweni kha hi endla xikombelo xa pay.
And Your Worship, the total actual prejudice contained in counts 6 to 13 with a total inclusive amount in all the charges of 1,380,000 rands, 901 rand and 50 cents. 1,380,000 rands, 380,901 and 50 cents.
Se va ku kahle kahle mali leyi hinkwayo loko hi hlanganisa milandzu leyiwani leyi a nga lahlekeriwa hi yona i 1,380,000 rands, 901.50 cents.
Yes, State. That being so, that additional charges have been added to the current charges for which bail application was in progress. I'm in a position to address whether the accused is still facing the Schedule 5 and or if the schedule has changed, what is the position so that we can take the process going forward.
Your Worship, as things stand, it's still Schedule 5.
Thank you. Still Schedule 5.
Correct, so thank you. And perhaps further investigations, if this bail application gets to take long, may reveal something that other things. But as things stand, it's Schedule 5, Your Worship.
Thank you.
Correct.
Yena mchichisi a ku ri nandzu wa n'wina wa ha wela ka yona Schedule 5 swi vula ku i milandzu leyikulu loko ku ri ku ta va na swin'wanyana leswi nga ta cinca loko hi kha hi yisa mahlweni hi kha hi endla mi kha mi endla xikombelo xa n'wina xa bail u ta hlamusela mara ka nkarhi wa vona wa luwani u hlamusela ku ri nandzu wa n'wina wa ha ri ku halayaka na wona wa luya.
Mr. Maluleke, I think it could be your turn now to address the court from the process as to how the court proceed going forward.
Your Worship, I've consulted both applicants before court, and the intention is to still proceed with the bail application. We had agreed with my colleague that they will proceed to lead evidence with regard to the witness that's already on the stand, and subsequent thereto, just to afford the applicant an opportunity to deal with the added charges, we will at a later stage bring an application to reopen the submission of bail application for 1 and 2 in view of the obvious fact that there are now new charges that obviously could not have been dealt with at the time of submitting the application. So for purposes of today, we wish to proceed. We had agreed, but my colleague can confirm that he proceeds with his witness, and as soon as the state is done leading evidence with respect to all its witnesses, then we will obviously be afforded an opportunity to deal with the issues that have emanated. But for the sake of progress, it's better to proceed.
The witness may stand up. Full names, panel.
Mtiki Daniel Makua.
Panel, do you have any objection in taking a prescribed oath?
No,
Will you take the prescribed oath to be binding at your conscience?
correct.
You may raise up your right hand and swear, so help me God.
So help me God.
As we also talked, as I said yesterday, still apply today. If you feel you would like to testify while seated, there's a chair there, you can just bend your microphone.
Please the court, please this.
Thank you. State.
Thank you, Your Worship. Colonel, the state has just added charges to the accused persons. And during your testimony, you informed the Honorable Court that there is a likelihood that these accused persons, should they be released on bail, will commit further offenses. Now, the offenses that were the charges that were added to the accused persons were committed in 2026 after the investigations were incepted sometime in 2024. What is your comment?
That's correct, Your Worship. What I can tell the court that is that during the initial investigations, we only dealt with 2 files in reference to Ms. Marsha and Matabat. It happens that, Your Worship, during the month of November, I was promoted to POLOKWANE office, where I had to now have to hand over the dockets to my subordinates or my superiors to teach it to the subordinates to furthering the investigation. It is unfortunate that I could not deal with this investigation in reference to the new charges that have been added before this court. So I wouldn't dwell much on the charges that have been put before this court. Thank you, Chief.
Se loko ku ri yena muchuchisi a vutisa loko a vutisa yena phorisa kumbe yena colonel swivutiso a ku colonel mi ta swi tsundzuka kumbe mi swi twini ku ri ku na milandzu leyi nga ngeteleriwa laha mahlweni ka huvo a henhleni ka vona va hehliwa. So loko n'wina mi kha mi nyika vumbhoni mi ve mi hlamusela ku ri vahehliwa lavawani loko vo chichiwa vo nyikiwa xikombelo xa vona xa bail loko xo mukeriwa i vanhu lava va nga ta yisa mahlweni va endla milandzu yin'wana. A ku mi ta swi tsundzuka ku ri milandzu leyiwani hi nga yi hlaya namuntlha i milandzu leyi nga humbengete yi humeleli hi 2026 ene loko hi languta vulavisisi a byi sungurini hi ku mi sungule hi 2024 ivi se a ku i ntiyiso sweswo. Mina a ni loko ni endla vulavisisi bya mina a ni nyikiwe tifayili timbirhi ya ka Masha ya ka Mathabata ivi hi November ni vi ni promotiwa kumbe ni yisiwa henhla ni kuma poso ya le henhla ni ya kwale a Phalaborwa la ni nga teka tifayili letiya ta mina kumbe tidokete ta mina ni vi ni nyika vakulukumba va mina ku ri va ta nyika lava va nga sala ku ri va ta kota ku yisa mahlweni na ntirho. Loko swi ta ka milandzu leyintshwa ni nge tivi nchumu ngopfu eka yona.
I want to put it on the record to say that though I was moved to Palabora office, the office of Palabora and Polokwane, they are still under the same umbrella of the Directorate. And I was every now and then engaging with the members that were hands-on on the matter, specifically Constable Tibana. And to add on that, I would put it on record to say that even today, there is more victims that are still calling me to say that, Colonel, we're coming forward with the information. And I can put it to the record to say that there is more arrests that still need to be done on this matter.
Ivi a ku na hambi mina ni sukini ni ya kwale a Phalaborwa kambe hina hi tirha a hansi ka nkulukumba wun'we ene xin'wana xa vumbirhi mina na hambi ni fambini a ni vulavurisana na vatirhakuloni va mina lava tirhaka na nandzu lowuwani ngopfungopfu loyi ve nge hi yena Tshovejani. Loko ni ta mi byela ka ha ri na timbhoni kumbe vapoti va ni milandzu vo tala lava nge hina vumbhoni byo karhi a ku xin'wana lexi nga ta mi tivisa xona i ku ka ha ta khomiwa vanhu vo tala.
It is your testimony, Kenneth, that the accused was informed sometime in 2024 that she is being investigated or investigations are ongoing with regards to this particular matter.
That's correct.
Ako intiyiso ku ri muhehliwa hi 2024 u ya tivisiwa ku ri va endla vulavisisi ehenhleni ka wena a ku ntiyiso.
Specifically, that was done by myself as accused number 1 visited my office, whereby I engaged my superiors and the whole of the team, whereby we had an engagement. And she was informed that an inquiry has been registered and an investigation is ongoing.
Ako sweswo ibile u tivisiwe hi mina muhehliwa wo sungula hi ku u vi ata ofisini ya mina a ku u la ku hi vona se mina ni vi byela vakulukumba na va hina hinkwavo lava hi tirhisanaka na vona ni n'wi byela ku ri ku endliwa vulavisisi ehenhleni ka wena va yisa mahlweni na vulavisisi.
So the accused went on to commit the offenses referred to in the charge sheet as count 6 to 13 in 2026, despite you just letting her know that she's being investigated.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Ebe se ako xivutiso lexi a xi vutisaka ako se loko ku ri yena muhehliwa u vi a yisa mahlweni na ku endla milandzu a kha swi tiva ku ri va le ku va endla vulavisisi ehenhleni ka yena hi vula milandzu leyiwani yo suka ka 6 ku fika ka yona 13 hi mhaka ku ve ri yi humeleli hi 2026.
Yes.
Your Worship, I wish to object to this line of questioning on the basis that the state is now inferring that indeed the accused has committed this offense. Your Worship, we are still on a very stage in this moment in time. It's still an allegation that is being leveled against the accused. It is still to be proven by the trial court whether there were some offenses that were committed post any kind of conversation. And I wish the state to reconsider that position.
Thank you. State, I think the concerns of the defense counsel is that the charges are still allegations because the trial on the merits of the charges are not finalized to an extent that a verdict may have been delivered. Perhaps you can put them as allegations, not as the accused has committed it, as if she has been convicted. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Worship.
Ebi se gqwetha ramba hehliwa ri tlakuka ri kwa xivutiso xexo a xi tshamangi kahle hi mhaka ku sweswiwani ha ri ka xiyenge lexiya xa ku kombela bili sweswiwani ya ha ri mavarivari se wena u swi vulavula nga ku vanhu lavawani se va voniwe nandzu sweswo swi ta swi tiva loko ku tekiwa nandzu se a hi kombela ku loko u vutisa xivutiso xexi xa wena u xi veketela kahle ku vona yona hi ku muchuchisi ni hleketa nga ku gqwetha ra vahehliwa ri vulavula ku ri hi ku hi mpelampela a ku se za ku nyikiwa xiboho kumbe va hlamusela ku vahehliwa va na nandzu kumbe a va na nandzu a hi ta ku wo i mavarivari kumbe va va hehla hi ku va endli swo karhi.
Colonel, let's add the word alleged. The accused committed the offenses alleged in the charge sheet as counts 6 to 13, despite you informing her that investigations are ongoing in this matter.
Yes, Worship, that's true, and I can believe to say that they did that because during my testimony of yesterday, you did mention to say that accused number 1 is earning 80,000 rand, and accused number 2 is earning 31,000 rand. So, when you're combining the two salaries, looking at the lifestyle of the two accused, I would say they wanted to maintain their lifestyle. And by maintaining their lifestyle is to go back and make sure that they steal from the funds.
I think defense is still allegations, it's not a conclusion.
Indeed, sir.
Thank you. It's not a conclusion and
Yes.
it's bail application.
Yes, and it's speculation from his side.
Yes,
It's not
only
going
when
to
you
be-
cross-examine him, you
Yes,
deal with it.
he will deal with him on that.
Thank you. Advocate, you can proceed.
Se ivi ya hlamusela ku ri hi ri vahehliwa lava vambirhi ku na mavarivari a ku va endli milandzu leyiwani yo suka ka 6 ku ya ka 18 va kha va swi tiva ku ri vulavisisi byi ya mahlweni a ku i ntiyiso swi tani u ta swi hleketa ku ri tolo u ni byeri ku ri muhehliwa wo sungula u hola 80,000 rands wa vumbirhi u hola 31,000 rands so miholo ya vona loko yi hlanganile vumbirhi bya vona a yi nge koti ku fikelela vutomi lebyi vona va byi hanyaku se ni twisisa ku ri va ta kota ku yisa mahlweni na vutomi lebyi vona va byi hanyaku va fanele ku ri va tlhelela ndzhaku va ya yiva kwele ka tifayili.
Have you ever, during the investigations of this case, had interactions with accused number 2?
Like I said to say that she visited our office,
Accused number 2.
accused number 2, oh. Yes, Worship, accused number 2, at some point, it did make the call to my state cell phone.
Va ku muhehliwa wa vumbirhi u ze u tikuma u kha u vulavurisana na yena na a ku na hleketa ku na nkarhi wun'wanyana a nga ni fowunela eka foni ya mina ya ntivo.
Accused number 2, he did introduce himself to me. I did as I introduced to him, and then he wanted to come and see me as well. What I said to the accused to say that I was with your wife at the office. We discussed the matter as he wanted to come and discuss the matter in relation to the purchase of the Mercedes-Benz at Honorable Pretoria. Then I said, I'm not going to allow such a meeting because I already had a meeting with your wife, and the things that I told your wife is the same things that I'm going to tell you. And prior accused number 2 making a call to me, there was another person who called me, who is a police official working at National Intervention Unit in Pretoria, by the name of Mr. Nyoni, or by then he was Sergeant Nyoni. After meeting accused number 1 at the office, I think 2 days, 3 days later, I get a call from Sergeant Nyoni requesting same meeting, same of accused number 1. After the call by Sergeant Nyoni, then I get called by accused number 2, same proposing such meeting. Then I did not allow such to happen, to say that everything they can be referred to, they can refer to my answers to accused number 1 as to what was the outcome of the meeting.
Okay. Ebise ahlamsela kuri intiyiso moehliwa wa vumbirhi u vi anifonela loko anifonela a ku la ku ni vona u la ku vulavula na mina hi mhaka ya ku xaviwa ka movha ya Mercedes-Benz le a Vanderbom a Pitori. Ivi mina ni n'wi byela ku ri va ku eka ndzhaku ka loko ni vona ni na nsati wa yena se mina ni n'wi byela ku ri a ku kahle kahle a nga siza a ni fonela yena munehliwa wa vumbirhi ni vi ni foneriwa hi munhu un'wanyani a ti tivisa ku ri yena Sergeant Nyoni na yena a kombela ku la ku hlangana na mina hi ta vulavula hi timhaka letiwani ivi na ni alana na yena ivi kusuka kwalano loko ni foneriwini hi loyiwani wo sungula Sergeant Nyoni ivi ni ta foneliwa hi yena muhehliwa wa vumbirhi loko a ni fonela a ku kombela ku ri u lava ku va na nhlangano na mina hi ta vulavula hi timhaka ta nandzu loyiwani ni n'wi byela kahle ku ri nsati wa wena se u tini mina na yena hi vulavurisini loko ku lava loko ku na swivutiso u lava ku lava tihlamulo vutisa nsati wa wena kumbe vulavula na nsati wa wena u ta ku hlamula a na ha lavi ku vulavula hi mhaka leyiwani.
That's what the only interaction with accused number 2 worship.
Hi laha ni nga vulavula na yena muhehliwa wa vumbirhi kona.
Accused number 2 indicate or divulge the reasons for the request for such a meeting.
Of course, yes. It was in relation to the purchase of the Mercedes-Benz at Vulnerable Pretoria.
U hlamuserini ku ri hikwalaho ka yini a lava ku ni vona hi mhaka movha leyi nga xaviwa le ka Mercedes-Benz a Pretoria.
And this was after investigations had started.
Long time.
Va ku khale vulavisisi byi sungurini.
What is your view, if you have any, to this question? Is that not interference with investigation?
Worship, this is a clear interference with the investigation. Hence, I've indicated that not only accused number 2 who called me, there was another sergeant who called me as well. However, that information, it will be divulged during the trial in terms of the records that will be obtained from the network service providers.
Sweswo ku fonela ka yena a wu voni nga ku endla vukanganyisi loko swi ta ka timhaka ta ku endla vulavisisi eka nandzu loyiwani a ku sweswo swo va rivaleni munhu yaloyo u endla vukanganyisi ka timhaka ta ku endla vulavisisi hikuva a ni foneliwangi hi yena muhehliwa wa vumbirhi ntsena na sergeant na yena u ni fonerini kambe hi nge ngheni ngopfu ka mhaka yona yaleyo hi ta swi vulavula siku leri ku nga ta va ku kha ku tengiwa nandzu hi ta va hi nyika na vumbhoni ku ya hi tifoni tirekhodo ta kona hi ta ti humelerisa.
Now, Colonel, accused number 2. Did actually give you a call. Where did you get your contact? If I may clarify.
It's a common cause that since I replied on an email that was sent by accused number 1, the email that contains the signature card at the bottom, which contains all my details. This accused before the court, they are married. It's a likelihood that you would have obtained such numbers from accused number 1.
Ebise va ku muhehliwa wa vumbirhi u ku fonerini kambe tifoni number ta wena u ti kumi kwihi a ku ku vi na email leyi ni nga rhumeriwa hi muhehliwa wo sungula loko ni yi hlamula email liya yivi yi fambisa yi na vuxokoxoko bya mina swilo swo fana na ti-phone number lavambirhi mi ta tsundzuka ku va tekanini se swo va rivaleni ku ri a nga va tikumi ka yena muhehliwa wo sungula.
Sergeant Nonyane, that contact you. Sergeant
Nyoni,
Nonyane, that the person who contacted you.
there's the court
Did
places.
he or she divulge his or her relationship to accused persons before court?
Worship.
And what was the reason for him calling you and the basis of the call at large? Thank you.
There's the court places.
Okay.
When I received the call from the said person who called, it reflects on the true caller, the full names, before the person can even introduce himself. Then when I pick up the line, I introduce myself, and then he did introduce himself, saying that he's the brother of accused number 2. And then we went further as to telling me as to the purpose of the call. I told him that straight to say that since you're the police, as he introduced to me, you must make sure that when you come to Polokwane to come and see me, you must draw a line. Either you come in to assist the investigation or you come in as part of the accused persons. Then we went as far as discussing the marriage, which were on the public space, that he was part of the accused marriage. And I can't recall some other things that we spoke about. But what I can recall is that if you come to see me, you must send me a formal request through your superiors. And what I will do is, when you come to the office, I will take you to the boardroom, same as I did with your sister-in-law. Then he said, Colonel, you know, I'm not going to involve myself in such. I'm pulling back. That was how we discussed.
Abu se phorisa rero ri nga kwa kumbe munhu yaloye a nga ku fonela aku yena sergeant u te yena sergeant man ivi aku u te yena sergeant Nyoni aku se u vi aku byela ku ri I yini na vanhu na vahehliwa na ku u ku fonelela yini ivi se aku loko ni phone loko phone yi rila yivi yi komba laya leswi swa xilungu swo komba ku na hambi u nga siza u nga ri na tinomboro ta munhu yi tsala laya ku I mani aku yivi yi ni tsalela laya ku ri I mani ni nga siza ni yi khoma and then loko se ni yi khoma phone liya ivi a ti tivisa na mina ni ti tivisa ivi a ni byela ku ri hi mina buti wa muhehliwa wo sungula ivi se a ni byela na ku ri u ni fonelela mayelana na yini ivi ni n'wi byela kahle ku ri leswi u nga phorisa u swi tivaku kahle loko ku ri u ta ka mina wena u fanele u ta ka mina hi timhaka teto to u lava ku vulavula hi buti wa wena kumbe u ta hi timhaka ta ntirho na ivi xin'wana a yisa mahlweni se a sungula ku vulavula hi mhaka ya mucato wa lava vambirhi aku a ni ri kona ka mucato wa lava vambirhi ivi se ni n'wi byela ku loko u lava ku vonana na mina swi lava u endla xikombelo hi ximfumo u xi endla u swi suka ka vakulukumba va wena xi ta ka vakulukumba va mina ene u swi tiva ku ri loko u fika laya hi ya a boardroom ni hi ya na van'wani na mina ta tivisa vakulukumba va mina hi ya tshama laya u ya vulavula leswi swi lavaku a ku ye loko swi ri tano mina na tshika timhaka letiwani a na ha tingini.
No, just a moment. He said, Nyoni said he's a brother to who?
Accused number 2.
Thank you. There was a mention of accused.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Now, you mentioned Truecaller, that even before the person can introduce themselves, you can see their names or something. Do you have proof to the effect that those people, their names were appearing on that Truecaller issue thing?
Yes, I did manage to print them. Unfortunately, I left them at the office, worship, based on the discussion that we had with the council yesterday. But they can make available if the court is in need of such. Not too sure if the council is still having the copies that we handed to him yesterday.
Just a second, Your Worship, may kindly be afforded an opportunity to look at.
ivi se a hlamusela timhaka ta ku loko u ku munhu swa koteka ku ri hi foni hi leswiya mi swi vitanaka ku ri hi yona true caller munhu wa kota ku vona mavito ya munhu na hambi phone number ya munhu yaloyo u nga yi nghenisangi endzeni ka foni ya wena se u na vumbhoni na byo komba ku hi mpelampela mavito wona lawo a kha humelela eka foni ya wena a ku ni swi printini ko va ku a ni tangi na swona namuntlha hi mhaka ya ku hi vi hi va na leswi hi nga vulavurisa swona hi nga vulavula na swona na yena nkulukumba kumbe vona va mfumo.
So the names of accused number 2 were appearing, the names of Nonyane were appearing, and what about accused number 1 at the time?
All the calls that I received from the accused before this court, they were clearly visible before my cell phone. Even the said sergeant that I did indicated, it was clear visible.
Ivi se aku hinkwawo mavito ya vanhu lava nga ni fonela nhlo wa sungula wa vumbirhi na yena sergeant yena yaleyo mavito ya vona a humelela kahle laya eka foni ya mina.
Now, Colonel, Your Worship, informed
Canon,
Worship,
it seems you come many times because even today we started after training and we have to proceed until 4. The time is almost there. You will bear with us. This is very important and you have to continue to assist us with the evidence that you are busy giving.
Your Worship, may the matter be
Perhaps let me start here. Tomorrow I've got a formal inquest hearing in this establishment. One of the witnesses is coming from Cape Town as well. I'm investigating the witness, one is coming from there. So we start with this inquest in the morning so that in whatever arrangements you make for the court to proceed, you must know I do have such engagement. I don't know what time it is conclude or it may take the whole day.
Your Worship, may at least it be made or we agree at least on 12:30 or at least 12 o'clock. Then anytime thereafter we'll just be here and then if the court finishes earlier, then we'll request to start the motion.
There's no problem.
Thank you, Your Worship.
But I'm not going to commit myself with time because if it's formal inquest, it means there will be evidence and cross-examination. So we can't cut the parties to finish earlier simply because there's another matter. They are equally important.
As the court.
However,
It's just
I'll postpone it for tomorrow. You will interact with me. It will be using the same code. So if we are finished earlier, then you will be able to know what we have done.
Thanks, Your Worship.
Yes,
Your Worship, I just have an added request to that situation that perhaps if we are being realistic to the proceedings, the state intends to call a further witness, so I understand. We obviously also intend to reopen our case to deal with the new developments. That perhaps also agree that the matter will also be aired should it not complete tomorrow on Friday, so that my colleague does not commit himself to other matters, and that we know for a fact that we still have an opportunity for the continuation of this matter on Friday. I, however, have a challenge when it comes to should it run to Monday. My challenge being that I have a party at trial in the High Court in Johannesburg, which is resuming on the 31st. And should we foresee any possibility of running until then, I wish to be afforded an opportunity to consult my client that I represent on that particular matter to establish do have a senior counsel there, Mr. Bishop counsel will be available on that day, so as to enable me to attend to this matter. In order for me to do so, unfortunately, I will have to travel, and the proposal of 12:30 might not be sufficient for me to cater to such issues. And I was suggesting at the very least 1:30. This will be tomorrow. I mean, for purpose of tomorrow's proceedings, if the court is available much earlier, can we agree from 1:30 going forward, so as to enable me an opportunity to resolve the issues of Monday should we not be done by that time. I'm saying this because I had my colleague proposing that should it be that the court be available around 12, the matter can start, and that might pose a challenge for me because I'm trying to plan ahead so that I cover for Monday in the event that we're here also.
I understand what you're saying. I also need to say, I'll give you a chance, okay?
As the court
I
pleases.
also need to say something that this court has got many cases, including cases for bail application, not only this one.
Yeah.
Similarly so, as I'm saying that we have got an inquest hearing which has been scheduled before time, for which witnesses are traveling from afar. And that the times that have been made available for the parties to actually take a recreational break and or lunch or tea, I would not like to interfere or tamper with them.
Yeah.
Because amongst us there are elderly people who even take medication after they have their meal. And if we have to force them to be here at 1:30, it would be unfair to everyone. Perhaps what I would say is that if you would not be available, because I will not say that I will be available at 12. If you will not be available for that time before lunch, let's commence at 14 hours. Let us not interfere with anybody's time.
No, Your Worship, I was not suggesting to start at 1:30. I was saying anything from there going forward. That can be at 2 o'clock, and this is an opportunity to resolve some other issues that may develop next week.
And let me also hear the commitment. The captain is still
The kennel.
a colonel. Sorry to
As the
be
court
more
pleases.
I'm sorry to be more to my talk. Colonel, you raised your hand.
Thank you, Your Worship. I just noticed a trend to say that when the state and the council, when they arrange a date, they don't consider the witness that is on the stand if he has got other commitments elsewhere or other things that needs to be done, but the date just get arranged and matter get postponed without getting the sight of the witnesses as to whether will he able to come the next day or on that particular day when it's been said. So I would suggest that I should be consulted, because I'm running a unit where I'm coming from, and there's things that they need my attention that I need to deal with, and I would bring it to this court to say that I was on the panel of the interviews that are in progress, and I since kept them waiting to say that I would finish with the court and then I'll continue with them. So even now they are still waiting to hear from me as to what is my position.
A live consultation. He is saying that he should have been consulted due to the commitments that he had. Can you do the live consultation now? Whether the panel will be available for tomorrow's proceedings, or what is the position?
It's not available.
Can I just be afforded? Can I just be afforded like a 5 minutes to stand down this matter so that I can make a call, and then I'll come with an informed decision as to whether I will be available tomorrow or not.
Okay. I would rather say make a call outside. Let us not adjourn because we are almost off.
As the court pleases.
And then you get back to us.
Worship might also an engagement.
Yes, you can engage with me. Colonel, I gave you an opportunity to go and make a call, and now you can address us. What
This is
is
the court business. Yes, indeed, I did. There's one of my colleagues who just followed me to say that they've started with the processes, and they got an instruction to say that I can be excused, meaning that they can set the date for tomorrow. I'm available.
Thank you. Thank you. The date for tomorrow has now been successful.
That's the court. Yes. Your worship may then be postponed to tomorrow 14 hours, and then you'll just be around.
I would just advise both you and the defense counsel to the accused to monitor the happenings will be in this courtroom. And if we finish earlier and feel we can proceed earlier than that, we will then be able to interact with the channel, and then we can then formulate and proceed.
Thank you.
Both accused will stand up. Accused applicants, due to lateness of an hour, will not be able to proceed with this bail application. However, we are going to proceed with this bail application tomorrow, as arranged with the defense counsel and the state. You will both be in custody. Is that the law?
That is the wrong law.
This court agrees.
That's very interesting. And the Kubu. What if we come here to what's the word I'm looking for? Whatever. The bravery. I mean,
I think him asking the brother actually.